All right, guys, welcome back to the next video. As I said in the last video, both of these videos have to do with public relations. 2.2.10 is just more into the actual strategies of public relations. Okay, so it looks at the importance of maintaining a positive relationship with the customer base and the implications if this relationship is not maintained. All right, so public relations. I'm not going to give you the definition again, you've already got it. So, businesses need to consider the way they communicate and how it's going to help them to achieve their overall business goals. They've got two ways that they can approach this. The first approach is a proactive approach. This is where the communication strategies involve a business acting before a problem, need, or change arises. So, they are doing this in advance to make sure that they are staying on top of it. Whereas a reactive approach is where communication of information is taken to the public only once there is a problem, need, or a change has happened, and now they're letting the public know. All right. Proactive is clearly going to be a more beneficial approach, as it means the business remains transparent to their publics and therefore will gain the trust and will improve their reputation. Therefore, implementing public relations strategies, which are actions used to communicate a particular message to the public and influence their perception, can help to achieve a positive image. All right, so planned public relations. This is a proactive approach of communicating intended messages to various publics. Okay, so we remember from that last slide, proactive means you're doing it before anything has happened. So therefore, it is a planned approach. Okay. Businesses will engage and respond to feedback from their publics to develop strong long-term relationships. The types of planned public relations you can see in the table. So you've got media releases, publications, events, sponsorships, and social media. And we're going to look at them on the next couple of slides. All right, so media releases. These involve developing and distributing written statements to print and e-news online news sites or reporting organizations. They can occur on TV, radio, or online internet sources. All right. The aim of a media release is to inform publics of new business activities or a business change to gain media coverage to, one, inform their own publics, as well as to potentially access a larger market and let people know about their business and what the business change is going to be. Publications. So these involve a business distributing information to news reporting organizations. All right. They can also be distributing information directly to public through brochures or catalogs, which expresses business missions and goals in relation to the community. Very similar, their aim is to inform publics of the changes, new products, or upcoming events to encourage a positive reputation. Planned PR strategies continued. So you've got events, businesses engaging with customers, shareholders, employees, managers, and the general public to present its products in person or through live online demonstrations. A business may develop events to encourage news reporting organizations to report on the event, so seminars, conferences, open day tours, with the aim of to interact with the public to enhance customer perception and develop a strong relationship. A form of this that you could look at is something like that careers night. I know it was cancelled at school, but that is different universities, different TAFEs, coming in and trying to promote their course to get you guys to want to go. All right. So they are trying to build up that relationship with you. Sponsorships, I'm sure all of you know about these, but financially supporting a team, individual, or group in exchange for benefits. So a business may sponsor a charity or sports team in exchange for their logo being displayed on their products. The one that always pops to mind for me is you see at the Australian Open, tennis stars always wearing Nike is, I think, probably the most prominent one. Players often just wear the same outfits unless they are even higher up in the sponsorship. So Roger Federer always has a different outfit to everyone else, but Nick Kyrgios and Rafael Nadal always wear the same. Yeah. Another one, Dustin Martin, obviously sponsored by Puma. He's always repping their items, always wearing their boots, things like that. Yeah. And the aim for this is associations with teams, individual or groups, builds public awareness of their brand and products. Again, they're just trying to extend their reach. And then the last one, social media, using online platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, to communicate a message to all publics. The social media enables businesses to respond quickly to issues. A negative of this, though, is that people that post feedback can be seen really quickly by a large percentage of people that potentially would have shopped at your business, but once seeing that feedback, maybe not. And their aim is directly inform the publics of new business changes or activities to develop a positive image. All right, on the other hand, we've got crisis public relations. So this is where a business communicates various publics in response to an issue which can negatively affect its reputation. It is a reactive approach, so something has happened and the business is now having to react to that. The business needs to act immediately in response to emergency situations such as product failures, negative employee actions, emergencies in the external business environment, such as COVID as an example. Businesses needed to react to that in order to stay viable. The business needs to be careful when releasing responses to the media to aim to reduce fear, but still provide the relevant information. Okay, so often in a crisis situation, a business will put out a public relations strategy, but they're often only going to be telling you the information that is going to reduce fear of all publics. All right. If a business doesn't respond quickly and in a timely manner, they often will face backlash. It's going to have a negative impact on their reputation, and it does occasionally result in legal action depending on how severe the crisis management strategy is. An example of this, at the toy shop, we had a bow and arrow, just a toy one. It was a plastic one. It had to be recalled because the suction cups at the end of the arrow were coming off, and a kid hit his brother, and they ended up having to go to hospital, getting stitches, that sort of thing. And that was sort of a good end result. Could have, got him in the eye and blinded him or anything like that. All right. How to prepare for crisis. So crisis management is identifying risks a business may encounter and how a business is going to deal with them. The aim is to reduce negative publicity when dealing with a crisis, and a business should have a crisis communication plan in place. This is going to guide which describes a process to follow during an emergency and when handling negative publicity. So an explicit set of steps. There are 10 steps. We haven't gone into detail here, but if you do want to know, just ask and we can let you know. It's going to highlight staff members responsible for handling a crisis, which is then going to help to train those staff members in order to be able to appropriately deal with these. And the business can ensure it is behaving according to business goals, legal requirements, and considering its relationship with its publics. The key elements of the crisis communication plan is the who, what, and when. So the who is who are the publics that are actually affected by this crisis and directly require a response. Who will the crisis communication team be composed of and led by? So who within the organization is going to be the best to manage this situation? And that's actually going to depend on the issue itself. Yeah, so if it is a product issue, potentially that is going to come from the manufacturers or the operations component of the business, because it is within their area of expertise. Okay. What information has to be communicated to publics? What other questions or information could be asked of the public or by the public, and what are the facts which are being referred to? So that one sort of links back to what is the information that we actually have to let them know about. And then when should a response be delivered to public? So how quickly after is going to be effective for us to have collected all the relevant information, put it together in a nice way that's going to reduce the fear, and how we're actually going to deliver that. And when should the public be updated on business activities? Yeah, so we've delivered the relevant message. When are we updating them again with our solutions effectively? All right, customer-based relationships. The impact of positive and negative relationships with customers. So the importance of having a positive relationship with customers. The business reputation is influenced by customer perception. Again, you can link it back to word of mouth. Without that, often people are going to be less inclined to purchase an item from your business. A customer's perception of a business can influence their purchase decisions and loyalty to the business. Remember, loyalty is super, super important, as if we think back all the way to that very first video, the Pareto principle, 80% of our sales are coming from 20% of our customers. A customer's experience with the business may be shared with others and influence the decision of potential customers. Yeah, so all of those linking pretty closely. If a business does not maintain a positive relationship with customers, it may face issues such as a loss of customers, irreparable reputational damage, which makes it difficult to gain customers back, negative word of mouth, reduction in profits, and employees are more likely to leave the business, which obviously all of those are going to have a really negative impact on whether or not a business is going to be capable of meeting their business objectives. All right. Okay, so crisis management sort of summed up, a technique used to manage an unplanned situation, often considered a threat to the business, whether that is product recalls, equipment failure, accidents within the workplace, negative employee actions, or external business environment pressures such as COVID-19. If a situation is not managed quickly, efficiently, and ethically, it can have a severe impact on the reputation of the business. An example was from Qantas. So following the implementation of COVID-19 travel restrictions during last year, Qantas was forced to restrict international flights into Australia. Qantas's crisis management team immediately held meetings to plan actions of response to the health crisis, which was significantly affecting the travel industry. The team's activities were led by its medical officer, Dr. Ian Hoosgood, as he was able to determine the risk of transmission of the disease when aboard a Qantas flight. So that was the issue, and then later on they would have then released that solution. So how they were going to minimize that, always linking it back to the legal requirements. Yeah, so those government publics and what their requirements were. All right, and then you've got the advantages and disadvantages of using the public relations strategies, both planned and crisis. So, using PR in this situation, you can reach a really large audience if the media is going to spread that message. The business may be viewed as more trustworthy because they are sharing that information. Publics are more likely to be satisfied, and it is cheap and time effective. All right. On the other hand, though, they can often lose control of the intended message if it's picked up by the media, because the media can just take selected parts. Difficult to measure the reach of the message. So how do we know that all these publics have seen it? Yeah, and the answer is you can't. It's actually almost not possible. If not managed correctly, it can lose trust of employees and other publics. Can be time consuming to prepare and implement, especially in terms of the planned crisis management situation, because it is a always occurring strategy that a business is going to be looking at. And it can be more expensive if there is someone specifically employed to manage public relations. So as we saw in Qantas on that previous slide, they had a crisis management team, meaning that there were actually people employed in order to deal with situations like these.